Welcome to World News Tonight. The travel ban showdown. A federal judge puts the brakes on President Trump's executive order barring some immigrants and refugees. 6 states now challenging that order, using the president's own words against him. Is this headed to the Supreme Court? Face of terror. New details emerging about the man police say went on a machete attack at a world-famous museum in Paris. Laptop hazard, the danger caught on camera. This laptop bursting into flames several times. Could it happen to you? The warning signs to look out for. Stolen baby, the terrifying moments for this mother when a suspected carjacker takes off with her car and her child. And secret to victory, those top QBs getting into gladiator mode. But tonight, the big question, is one coach's secret weapon fashion related?
From ABC News, this is ABC World News Tonight.
And good evening. Thanks for joining us on a busy Saturday night. I'm Tom Yamas. And as we come on the air this evening, the president firing off on Twitter tonight, furious after a federal judge in Seattle overruled his controversial travel ban on thousands of refugees and immigrants. That executive order halted and similar cases in other states using the president's own words against him from his campaign speeches in their legal arguments. The president blasting the credentials of that Seattle judge who was a Bush appointee. All this as protesters across the country continue to make their voices heard on this divisive issue. And just moments ago, President Trump talking about Russian leader Vladimir Putin and making a surprising statement. ABC's David Wright in Florida with the president leading us off tonight.
Tonight, President Trump on the attack, lashing out at the Seattle judge who dared to block his controversial executive order on travel and immigration. Trump tweeted, "The opinion of this so-called judge, which essentially takes law enforcement away from our country, is ridiculous and will be overturned."
My question to you is, have there been terrorist attacks in the United States by refugees or other immigrants from the 7 countries listed since 9/11?
U.S. District Judge James Robar rejected the administration's claim that individuals from 7 predominantly Muslim countries pose an immediate threat to the U.S. The judge ruled the executive order would cause irreparable injury if it were allowed to stand. The judge's ruling is a lifeline to roughly 60,000 foreign nationals who had their visas revoked. President Trump's 3-day weekend at his winter White House Mar-a-Lago overshadowed. After a round of golf, Trump tweeted, "What is our country coming to when a judge can halt a Homeland Security travel ban and anyone, even with bad intentions, can come into U.S.?"
This is a judge who was nominated by President Bush, 99-0, confirmed. How is he a so-called judge?
We face a dangerous enemy, inspiring people to come into this country, and the president is determined to use the authority that he has under the Constitution and under the law, but we'll work through the courts to challenge them.
But doesn't this judge have the authority to do what he did as well?
He certainly does, and that's why the administration is complying with that order as we speak.
Today, Democrats hailed the ruling, firing back at the president.
The way he's reacting is not an American president who understands American democracy. He's reacting in a very juvenile and immature way.
It's not the first time Trump has second-guessed a federal judge presiding over a case that affects him.
But I have a judge who is a hater of Donald Trump. A hater. He's a hater. His name is Gonzalo Curiel. And he is not doing the right thing.
During the campaign, he insisted Judge Gonzalo Curiel could not fairly preside over a lawsuit against Trump University because of the judge's Mexican heritage. The Democrats are now threatening to make these attacks an issue in Supreme Court confirmation hearings. Senator Patrick Leahy said, "We need a nominee for the Supreme Court willing to demonstrate he or she will not cower to an overreaching executive."
And David Wright joins us live tonight. David, there's another headline we're also following. New information tonight about President Trump and his business interests.
That's right. New documents released as part of a Freedom of Information Act request show that Trump remains closely tied to his business empire. It's not exactly a blind trust. The 2 people who administer it are very close to Trump, his eldest son and a top executive of the Trump Organization, and Trump remains the sole beneficiary. Tom?
David Wright at Mar-a-Lago with President Trump tonight. David, thank you. Let's take a closer look now at the legal battle unfolding over the travel ban. ABC Supreme Court contributor Kate Shaw joins us now. Now, Kate, in this showdown with the president, who has the better case?
Well, I would say there are some very powerful arguments against the lawfulness of this ban. Equal protection arguments, due process, religious discrimination. Now, this is a case that is almost certain, I would say, to end up before the Supreme Court. There's a real question about whether Washington State is the right party to be bringing the challenge. But if the decision is that it is, I think there's a very real chance that this ban goes down.
Kate Shaw for us tonight. Kate, thank you. And of course, caught in the crosshairs of these on-again, off-again travel bans are the travelers and families desperate to keep up with confusing directives, not sure about the next steps to take. More now from ABC's Eva Pilgrim.
Tonight, a race against time to get into the U.S. In Boston, a tearful reunion. This son reunited with his 69-year-old Iranian mother.
I'm ecstatic because, it's her birthday, 70th birthday next week.
This 12-year-old girl born in Yemen, one of the many living in limbo for the past week. Her parents and sisters, all U.S. citizens living in California. She has a valid visa, but wasn't allowed to fly until tonight, now en route to return to the U.S.
They're in a very desperate situation, and so if there's any window of opportunity, they were going to do whatever possible to take advantage of that.
For this doctor in Virginia, uncertainty remains. He's in the middle of his residency, his wife, a Syrian citizen.
They told her while she was on the plane that her visa would be canceled. And she was terrified even when she was on the air.
Her visa canceled, turned around when she arrived in D.C. last week.
I really hope everything is okay.
Her husband has filled out all the paperwork to bring her back, hoping he can get her home soon.
I love my husband and I want to stay away from him. That's it.
Most airlines returning to business as usual, operating as if the executive order never existed, allowing anyone with a valid visa or green card to once again fly to the U.S. Tom?
Eva, thank you. And of course, much more on this controversy tomorrow on This Week and more on Georgia's one-on-one with Vice President Mike Pence. And tonight, a new startling statement from President Trump in a sit-down interview with President Trump tonight to air tomorrow during a Super Bowl coverage. The president had this to say in an interview with Fox News' Bill O'Reilly, the conversation turning towards Russia.
Do you respect Putin?
I do respect him.
Do you? Why?
Well, I respect a lot of people, but that doesn't mean I'm going to get along with him. He's a leader of his country. I say it's better to get along with Russia than not. And if Russia helps us in the fight against ISIS, which is a major fight, and Islamic terrorism all over the world,
right?
Major fight, that's a good thing. Will I get along with him? I have no idea. It's very
He's a
possible
killer,
I
though.
won't.
Putin's a killer.
A lot of killers. We get a lot of killers. Why, you think our country's so innocent?
From that interview tomorrow night. And this development regarding the president's new cabinet, word that Vincent Wjla, Mr. Trump's choice for Army Secretary, withdrew his name from consideration. Wjla, a billionaire, saying it was too difficult to distance himself from his business to take the job. Next to Paris, after what officials are calling a terror attack at one of the world's most famous museums. Security very tight at the Louvre after yesterday's attempted machete attack. Many tourists undeterred showing up today. And tonight we're learning just who that suspect is. ABC's Jennifer Eccleston reports.
Tonight, Paris on high alert. The Louvre Museum reopening amid heavy security after Friday's terror attack. French prosecutors describing the attacker as a 29-year-old Egyptian living in Dubai. Tonight, this man telling ABC News his son is the suspect, Abdullah El-Hamame, insisting he was in Paris on business and not a terrorist. El-Hamame's social media accounts paint a darker picture. No negotiation, no compromise, one reads in Arabic, relentless war. Prosecutors say he entered France on a tourist visa 9 days before attacking soldiers at the Louvre, where he was shot 4 times. Police searched his rented Paris apartment, finding cash and the receipt for the 2 machetes used in the assault. French prosecutors say the suspect is no longer in critical condition, but remains in custody at a Paris hospital. Tom?
Jennifer, thank you. Back here at home now to some wild video, a laptop igniting into flames, apparently out of nowhere. Take a look at these surveillance images capturing the dangerous moment, that computer erupting not once, not twice, but 4 times. Marcy Gonzalez picks up the story.
Two teens home alone when out of nowhere they say the laptop plugged in next to them on the couch explodes.
I was just like in shock. We didn't really know what was happening, didn't really know what to do.
Security cameras in the California home rolling as the teens blow out the fire, unplug the computer, and bring it outside. But just 3 minutes later, it bursts into flames again. Then again 3 minutes after that. You see Devin Johnson use a fire extinguisher, yet moments later, flames shoot out for a fourth time.
Well, we're lucky that our house didn't burn.
The Johnsons say the fire appears to have come from the 4-year-old Dell laptop's lithium-ion battery. In 2006, more than 4 million of that type of battery were recalled by Dell because of the risk of fire. And just last week, more than 100,000 were recalled by Hewlett-Packard. And it's not just computers. Lithium-ion batteries are the suspected cause of fires and recalls of hoverboards and Galaxy Note 7 cell phones. As for the Johnsons, that laptop is in the mail on the way to Dell. The company telling ABC News Dell places the highest priority on safety and will conduct a complete investigation. And Tom, most laptops have lithium-ion batteries. And so to help protect yourself, experts say always leave your laptop on a hard surface, never on a bed or a couch, and unplug it as soon as it's done charging. Tom?
Marcy, thank you. Now to the new court documents coming out on a scandal involving a popular college football team. The coaching staff at Baylor University accused in a major cover-up involving players. ABC's Adrian Bankert has the details.
Tonight, new evidence claiming former Baylor head coach Art Briles shielded players from university discipline. In response to a libel lawsuit by another coach, court documents filed by the university show text messages between Briles and his staff. In a 2013 incident, a masseuse asked the team to discipline a player who allegedly exposed himself and asked for favors. Briles reportedly responds, "What kind of discipline? She a stripper?" Upon hearing it was at a spa, the coach writes, "Not quite as bad." In another exchange, after a player is arrested for assault, Coach Briles texts the athletic director. The player said Waco PD was there, said they were going to keep it quiet. Those texts released nearly 9 months after an internal investigation found the school mishandled and in some cases silenced sexual assault claims. Stephanie Mundhank taking her alleged sexual assault to then university president Ken Starr.
I wish they would have done more to help. If someone really believed that I was sitting in class next to my rapist, more should have been done about it.
Starr eventually stepping down, Briles fired. Since then, Briles supporters have demanded more details. Some hoped would exonerate the coach.
But these text messages reinforce and in many ways confirm the allegations that women have made about a cover-up.
Briles also filed a libel suit against the university, but dropped it just 1 day before those texts were made public. Tom?
This controversy far from over. All right, Adrian, thank you. Now to the winter weather. Worries around the country. Take a look at this helpless driver on Oregon's icy I-5. Slick conditions there, triggering a 50-car pileup. No major injuries reported. And heavy rains, the story in Fresno, California, stranding some drivers in fast-rising floodwaters. Senior meteorologist Rob Marciano joins us now with the forecast and more. Hey, Rob.
Hi, Tom. Still very, very active out west, so we'll start there. Portland hasn't caught a break this winter, and they're going to get another batch of snow, it looks like, Sunday. First, we started off with rain, kind of a complicated situation, really from Canada all the way down to Mexico. This thing's going to be a wide-reaching storm, potentially heavy snow in Portland by Monday morning. Same with Seattle, although not as heavy. San Francisco to Los Angeles, we'll see some heavy rain with this and high wind warnings in the mountains there. A piece of this energy gets into the plains, and by Tuesday, we're looking for a high-impact event here. Big windstorm for a lot of folks, and some strong storms across the Mid-South. Might see some icing across the Northeast. This is a storm we're going to have to watch Tuesday, Wednesday, Tom.
All right, we'll stay on top of it, Rob. Thank you. It is Super Bowl Eve, that deep winter annual ritual so many Americans look forward to. ABC's Jesse Palmer on what to watch out for in this year's Super Showdown.
Tonight, the clash of the quarterbacks drawing closer.
The flea flicker, Brady to the end zone.
39-year-old Tom Brady, defying age, aiming for a record 5th title and a little payback. Hoping the man who handed down his Deflategate suspension, Commissioner Goodell, will also have to hand over an MVP trophy. Both looking ahead.
I've moved on, As I say, we're focusing on the game now.
Standing in the way of a dynasty, Matt Ryan and the high-flying Falcons.
Second down, Ryan.
He wants to bring Atlanta their first Super Bowl trophy.
We've put in the work, we've put in the time, and I think we'll all be ready to go.
And Tom, excitement for the game at a fever pitch here. Tickets selling online for somewhere around $4,000, but get this, somebody forked up $15,000 for a single ticket. And Tom, I can promise you that person was not me.
It's going to be a good game. I don't know if it's worth $15,000. All right, Jesse, thank you. Still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Saturday. This is not a dad carrying his child. It's a suspected carjacker. We'll tell you what happens next. Plus, a massive drug bust where authorities seized more than $150 million in cocaine. And an incredible light show in the sky captured on camera out of an airplane window. We'll show you more. Stay with us.
This is ABC World News Tonight, brought to you by Pfizer.
Your body was made for better things than rheumatoid arthritis. Before you and your rheumatologist move to another treatment, ask if Xeljanz is right for you.